With Subnautica leaving early access on January 23rd, I thought we could take some time to go through the whole journey this amazing game went through to reach where it is today. With that said, I'd like to start this off with a small preface. During the time Subnautica has been in early access, it has undergone many changes. The purpose of this video isn't to detail every single one, but to give an overall sense on the progression of the game as a whole. With that said, let's jump right into Subnautica, a journey in the making. 3 whole years. That's how long Subnautica stayed in early access, constantly impressing us with its new content. Unknown Worlds Entertainment managed to safely guide the development of this gem alongside all their fans, avoiding the pitfalls that plagued the survival genre in early access. Unknown Worlds first announced Subnautica on December of 2013, alongside with a video on their newly created Subnautica channel titled Subnautica. Welcome. The short video introduced us to the idea of the underwater survival game and showed us a few pieces of concept art to give us a taste of what was to come. It wasn't until PAX East 2014 that we would get our first glimpse into a working pre-alpha of the game. With their very own booth at PAX East, the guys over at Unknown Worlds did a fantastic job at presenting their new project with a demo. Almost immediately, a line formed as interest in the game peaked instantly due to its uniqueness. With a successful PAX under the belt, the guys over at Unknown Worlds doubled their effort and jumped straight into working on Subnautica, and 8 months after the initial debut on the PAX floor, Subnautica released on Steam Early Access on December 16th, 2014. Unfortunately, Subnautica didn't release scot-free. Almost immediately after release, the public noticed performance issues that Subnautica would become notorious for. The game lacked optimization, and even the most powerful of rigs suffered lag spikes and obvious pop-in. In its earlier stages, Subnautica lacked the opening cinematic we currently have. You would have a small voiceover that served that purpose, and would then appear in the burning lifebot with the world at your disposal.
In the late 22nd century, humanity is beginning to colonize space. Before colony ships arrive, habitation vessels are appointed terraforming missions. The Aurora was one such vessel. During its descent, the Aurora was struck by a mysterious energy pulse, resulting in catastrophic hull failure. A single life pod jettisoned prior to impact.
The game HUD was bare bones, and the fabricator didn't actually have any assets to build. With this in mind, the developers wasted no time and started churning out content like there was no tomorrow. Within the next few months, the guys over at Unknown Worlds added new creatures, new vehicles, such as the first iteration of the iconic Cyclops, and undoubtedly one of the most important systems in the whole game, sea bases. By March of 2015, players were able to build their underwater dream homes using the Habitat Builder, and the average player base had soared to over 1,000 concurrent players. Just 1 month later brought about the implementation of the Aurora. The explosion we are all so familiar with was finally added into the game with the radiation system and the ability to explore the first part of the Aurora.
Emergency. Seismic readings suggest a quantum detonation has occurred in the Aurora's drive core. The central dark matter reactor will reach a supercritical state in T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
This update also introduced one of the most feared creatures in the game, the deadly Reaper Leviathan. At this point, the developers knew they had to add in some more utility items, a way to make your character faster or more durable. So, in May of 2015, new fin and tank types were added, meant to increase the ability of players to explore the world seamlessly. Now at this point, the sea bases were beginning to feel a little left out. Players had already constructed some of the biggest colossal structures with what was available, so by August, not only were 3 more biomes added into the game, but sea bases got a very welcome addition of new expansions, such as a multi-purpose room and observatory, just to name a few. By this point, Subnautica had garnered some traction on YouTube. Splattertack Gaming and Jacksepticeye, both very popular YouTube channels, began playthroughs of the game and brought along some much needed attention to the game, showcasing it to millions of fans worldwide. By September, the Seamoth update had hit Steam, and exploring had become substantially easier and more accessible. Along with some massive expansions to existing biomes and the addition of the mountains biome, the Seamoth got a complete revamp, making the main exploring tool of every player that much more powerful. Now, without a doubt, the first explosion of popularity Subnautica experience came about during the month of November of 2015. The holiday season not only brought along a myriad of new creatures, but also came with Subnautica's first big break. By December, the game had advanced tremendously from when it first released on early access this time last year. It had garnered a medium-sized fanbase on YouTube, and the charts showed it doing nothing but rising. At that point in time, Markiplier picked up Subnautica and started showcasing it on his channel, pinpointing the game to his entire audience. Just looking at the first part of the series standing at over 6.6 million views is more than enough to realize the effect he had on the game. Later on, the developers would actually add in Markiplier to the game as a doll figurine as a way of transmitting their appreciation. Only 2 months later, by February of 2016, the player base had grown 6-fold to over 6,000 concurrent players, and Unknown Worlds never took a break from developing. By this time, they had finally managed to create proper 3D assets for most items in game and had completely overhauled the water graphics in the aptly named H2O update. February came and flew by, and along with it came an update which would introduce the first iteration of the farming system. Nearly every flora was made harvestable, and players now finally had a stable source to supply themselves with both food and fuel. Alongside this update, the world became littered with wrecks from the Aurora, adding a new interesting aspect to exploring. The aptly named Crash Sequence update came next, adding in a proper intro cinematic to the game that shows you leaving the life pod as the Aurora crashes into the planet's surface.
Attention. Hull failure imminent. All personnel abandon ship.
Launch in 3, 2, 1.
During March and April, the update seemed to be a bit lackluster, leading to a dip in the player base. However, Unknown Worlds didn't let that affect them and came back strong in May with the machinery update, adding even more base mechanics into the game in the form of the scanning room and completely revamping the Cyclops to fit with the new biomes they added. With his renewed vigor came the Powering Up update on the 1st of June, letting players fully customize their bases with a myriad of new decorations and furniture, as well as adding a sleep system to the game with beds. After the Powering Up update, the developers went quiet for a couple months, working and perfecting one of the most significant updates Subnautica would ever receive. With depths reaching new records, the guys over at Unknown Worlds realized players didn't have the freedom to fully explore the depths of the ocean. With this in mind, they developed a solution and released the Prawn update, as August came to a close. This update added the incredibly useful prawn suit, designed to be operated at the deepest depths of the ocean and the most inhospitable of places. To truly cement this update, they also completely overhauled both lava zones on the map, adding valuable items and new creatures into the biome. To the casual player, these updates to Lava Zone might have seemed inconsequential. These zones were rarely visited as it is, but the developers had a plan, and it only took one more month for us to see it in action. The Dangerous Creatures update introduced the legendary Sea Dragon Leviathan, the largest and most dangerous creature in the entire game, a colossal beast with claws the size of your body and a size that rivals even the Cyclops. And guess where this creature now made its nest? Yep, the Lava Zone. At this point, the Lava Zone had become the most inhospitable, hardcore area in the entire game. The next update followed suit, adding in various mysterious areas of the game around the theme of bones. The massive Lost River biome was also included in this update, giving players a huge area to explore, filled with hauntingly beautiful sights, as well as the first glimpse at a mysterious base. At this point, we had a nice full world with large, diverse biomes and a complete fully functioning crafting system. The game was in the best place it had ever been. Subnautica had dozens of hours of exploration and base building in it, but the developers wanted more. They had a larger vision and they finally started to implement it with the next update, the Precursors Update. Now, the Precursors Update is arguably the update that began to unravel the mystery of Subnautica. All the questions we had all had since the beginning: how did we crash, why has no one come? The lore of Subnautica began to unravel little by little as we slowly came closer to the truth. The Precursors Update answered some of our questions, but posed many more. It piqued our interests and started what I consider to be Subnautica's main questline. The next update, Castles and Coffees, added some more life to the sea bases in the form of new additions such as, well, coffee machines, really. It also implemented many tweaks to the power consumption of many vehicles, and all in all added some great quality of life improvements. Already having cemented itself as a gem in the early access survival genre, the developers took 2 months to deploy the largest story-driven update the game had ever seen. The Infected update introduced a new disease, central to the Subnautica storyline, and brought about our first glimpses of the primary containment facility as well as a disease research facility. By now the guys at Unknown Worlds knew they were in the home stretch. Generally speaking, the game was now missing some polish in the systems and HUD, as well as a proper ending to the now introduced story. On April 28, 2017, the developers introduced the Silent Running update, taking care of one of the points outlined above. This update aimed to completely polish the HUD and user interface for a better player experience, as well as revamping the Cyclops completely into a new version. A bunch of new modules were added, as well as a myriad of quality of life changes, including a damaged visualization screen, a creature decoy, and a compass. With this update, the core gameplay of Subnautica was complete. The only thing missing was to keep on expanding on the main story, and boy did we not have to wait long for that. On June 21st, Unknown Worlds dropped on us one of their most ambitious updates ever: the Voice of the Deep. In this one, they finally added the interior of the primary containment facility as well as the Sea Emperor Leviathan. The update allowed the main story to be progressed even further, explaining the mysteries that surrounded the Aurora crash and the planet. This update was utterly massive in everything it did. However, even with everything that was added, there was still one massive thing missing. We still had no way of actually progressing the main story. But have no fear, children, as the depths heard us loud and clear and delivered the Ghost update. Within this new update, a new creature known as the Ghost Leviathan was added, as well as the missing item needed to progress the main story further. Subnautica was closer to being done than it had ever been before. We also saw some changes to the crafting system, balancing it even further. In the next couple months, Unknown Worlds focused on fixing bugs in a major way. This all came to fruition with the December 2017 Eye Candy update, bringing about an overhaul to the graphics system and over 250 bug fixes to the game. This new layer of polish gave Subnautica the shine we didn't know it needed, but now we can't live without. With this, the polish had been applied and refined over time, and Unknown Worlds finally announced Subnautica will be coming out of early access on January 23rd, 2018. A 3-year journey had come to an end, but a new one, not far off on the horizon, was just about to begin. Now that we have a gem of a game unique in its genre, Unknown Worlds left the game at the perfect place to release the ending to the story alongside the full game launch, and I have very high hopes for what's to come. Through the ups and downs, Subnautica made its own mark on both the survival genre and on early access, receiving major praise from the fans on both the game and development process. Now all that's left is for you to jump right in on January 23rd into the hauntingly beautiful world of Subnautica. Anyway guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.